Alright, so for today, what we need to do before we go over the plan for today is need everyone for supplies is pull out a pencil, your graphic organizer, and you might need your textbook or your Chromebook. Depends on which way you want to access the stories, but we'll let you get that. We'll let you guys get those later if you need to. Okay. So for right now, pen or pencil and your graphic organizer. For what we worked on the other day, it's that pink sheet that looks like this for your essay. Did everybody have that out? If you don't have one, let me know and I'll get you one. Alright, good. Looks like everyone has it. So, going over the agenda for today. First, we're going to continue working on the graphic organizer. Okay, I have an example for you that I completed myself that I'll put up on the board so you have an idea of what we're asking out of this, okay? Sound good? The other day you guys had a pretty good grasp on it. So, the goal is to get this completed today so that you can type tomorrow, okay? That's kind of what our exit ticket will be at the end of class. Kind of see where everyone's at, if we're ready to type tomorrow, if we need to continue working on this, or what we need to do, okay? And then at the end, like I just said, we'll fill out that exit ticket, okay? So our objective for today, I'm going to read it out loud, I'm going to have you guys write it down. Just write it at the bottom. You can write it, flip it over right at the bottom, okay? That sound good? All right. Our objective, I can comprehend grade level texts. We did that, by reading our stories, okay, in our textbooks or on our Chromebooks, okay? I can comprehend grade level text. Also, I can analyze how one generation learns from another, which has been our entire essential question for the whole first unit, okay? Make sure we're writing that down. And then, when it's relating to our essay, our last objective for the day, I can use narrative techniques to develop experiences, events, and or characters, which is what you're doing with your graphic organizer in order to complete your assessment task. I'm going to give you a little time to write that down. If you're having a hard time seeing it, let me know. I can read it again for you. I'm sorry?
Can we start writing?
I'm going to go over, I have an example for you guys, and then we'll get to that. You're ahead of the game, huh? Does everyone have that written down? This is pretty much our goals for the day, what we're going to be completing and how we're going to complete it. So, now everyone needs to flip it back to the front side, okay, where we started. And I know most of you got a good start the other day, what was it, Tuesday? Okay, most of you got a good start, but I have an example for some people that might be confused. So sit quietly. If you already know, then good for you, but sit quietly. You will have plenty of time to continue working on this, okay? Sound good? Oh, I'm always doing that. And back, no. There we go. Got to zoom it out real quick. There you go. Getting there, we're getting there. Coming up, be patient. There we go, there we go. Finally. So, this is exactly what it is. We just created one in Google Forms. So you'll be able to access this in your Google Docs, okay? You'll be able to look at it later when you're working on it for an example. So this is mine. Obviously my name's at the top. Never able to do that. So, go down a little bit. I gave my example about fishing the other day with my dad. Here it is. My hook, and who can answer for me what a hook is again? Tim.
It gets the reader
One more time. Can you speak up for me?
it gets the reader hooked to it,
Right. It's helping the reader. It's telling the reader, not telling the reader what you're writing about, but it makes the reader want to read your essay. Good. So something interesting, something exciting that's going to make the reader want to read it. So then we're moving down. My hook was I was scared for my own life when I saw what was on the end of my hook. It just happened to work like that because I was fishing, you know, the fishing hook. So it just happened to work like that. Pun intended on that one. So, anyway, so that's why I put fishing pole so you guys didn't get confused. Perfect. Thesis statement. Who can answer? Nice and loud for me. Thesis statement. What we talked about on Tuesday. Jaylee.
It's what you're going to write about.
It's what you're going to write about. Good. Perfect answer. So, in your thesis statement, you're telling the reader exactly what you're going to talk about in the rest of your essay. So, we wrote it together. There are many things one generation can learn from another. We wrote that. Everyone should have that down. Then I went down my 3 pieces of evidence. Now, this might be different than what your pieces of evidence are. Obviously, I'm telling you about my story, and I'm picking 2 texts that relate to my story. You guys might be picking 2 entirely different texts, okay? Because there was like 6 or 7 that we named. Okay, so my example, and you can use this start in your essay. I'm gonna let you go ahead and use it, but you're probably gonna have to switch up the examples, okay? So, for my thesis statement, I said 3 ways in which one generation can learn from another are. Okay, I'm telling the reader what I'm writing about. My dad teaching me how to fly fish, Laura in an invisible thread offering Maurice a helping hand, and the lesson the young girl learns from his grandma in Grounded. Okay, I remember Grounded. That was like way at the beginning of
It's her
school.
grandma.
It's her grandma. Her grandma. Yes, sorry, it is her grandma. Good, thanks. Messed that up. See, teachers make mistakes too. So, thank you. Does everyone understand where I just told the reader what I'm writing about in that thesis? And no questions on that part. All right, now we're getting into the fun stuff. Here's my second paragraph. So all up there, that was my first paragraph. My second paragraph. One of the ways I have learned from another generation. So in this part, I am strictly telling what my story was. My narrative, okay? Right there. My experience with my dad teaching me how to fly fish. So I'm going to read it to you guys. It says, one of the ways I've learned from another generation is my dad teaching me how to become an expert fly fisherman. Growing up, I always idolized my dad. This was most likely due to the fact that he was pretty much good at everything he attempted. Okay? So I'm letting the reader know my beginning of my personal story. Right here. Boom. First couple sentences. Then I go on and say, so it came as no surprise to me when he continuously walked home with a fish that made me look like a little shrimp. So I add some detail in there. I'm descriptive. I'm saying my dad came home with a fish that made me look like I was like a little pipsqueak, okay? Alright, so, fortunately for me, he invited me on one of his fishing trips, offering to teach me the ropes. So boom, this is where I am learning from another generation, okay? It was a time I will never forget, especially when I felt my pole bend down into the water. Has anyone ever been fishing in here? And you sit there for like hours and you're like, come on, I need a bite. Someone. Bite, do anything just to get a little nibble. And then all of a sudden you see your pole just bend quickly and you know you got one, you get really excited and you throw everything that you're doing, you go try to reel it in. So that's, what was that?
I've caught a boot before.
You've caught a boot?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know where you're fishing, but.
I was fishing a wall lake.
A wall lake? I don't know. Someone probably just got mad and threw their boot in there. Alright, so then, I kind of reference back to my hook, so now the reader's like, oh, he said that in his hook. Kind of just a strategy. You don't have to do this. Just a writing strategy. So I was scared for my own life when I laid eyes on what was on the end of my hook. I had never seen a fish that enormous in my life. Learning to fish from my dad was a great experience, and is one of the ways I have learned from another generation. Bingo. So right here is strictly my story, nothing about another text, nothing like that. You guys should be able to have that down. Question.
What type of fish did you catch?
What type of fish did I? It was a big bass. It was huge. I don't know. It wasn't nearly as big as me, but it was big. I'm telling you. I'll show you a picture sometime. So, moving down. That's paragraph 2. Paragraph 3, I didn't write out for you, but I'm pretty much going to outline it for you and give you an example of how to start it, what needs to be in there. Okay, so paragraph 3 is when you're relating it to one of our stories in the text. Alright? So, I said, one way that my fishing experience relates to an invisible thread is when Laura takes Maurice out to lunch. It is similar to my story because Laura is teaching Maurice how to become a successful person in society. Alright? Does everyone get that? How I related it, my personal experience, to Maurice and Laura. And I even said in there, this is similar to my story. Or you can say, this relates to my story, this connects to my story, anything, okay? But we're relating that to one of our texts. So then, where it says cite text, because that is one of our things in the rubric, okay? Also part of our objective is we need to have the text cited in our essay. So, I noticed this happening in paragraph, and then I left it blank. It could be paragraph 6, paragraph 18, whatever. You guys have to go back in the story, find what paragraph you found the evidence, okay? When the author states, or you can say, when Maurice said, or when Laura said, okay? Then you write the quote from the story, okay? And then I go on down here and say, this relates because, about the lunch, okay? I already explained that. So you guys understand how it relates. So I go down and I close that off. Boom, right here, get a little more simpler. All I said was, same thing as above, you just pick a different story. Cool? Everyone getting that? Can I get a thumbs up if we're doing good? I can see everyone's thumb. Everyone nice and high. Thank you. Perfect. Cool. So, move on to conclusion. I didn't write anything because you guys already know, 7th graders. As 7th graders, we should already know we need to restate what we said at the beginning, what our story is about, how it relates to one generation learning from another. Okay? Sound good? Everyone get that? Here's what's going to happen next. I'm going to give you time. I don't have much time left in class, but I'm going to give you time to work on this. Okay? And then at the end, we'll assess where we're at, what we need to continue working on. Okay? So, you need to either access the online textbooks in your Chromebook, or quietly, when I say so, come up, and I believe 4th period is up here. No, that is 9th period. This one, right here. I saw Kai's name, I should have known, right there. Alright, does that sound good? Are there any questions I can answer for now? Yes? You need a Chromebook? Okay, we'll go ahead and get you a loaner. That sound good? So, my ideal day would be to finish this second box of my own story, and then probably be starting to work on this back page at least. In the other classes, which you guys had a big head start on them, okay, the other day, I saw a couple students already in this 4th box. So we need to be working today, be quiet. If you have a question, I will come around and answer it. Miss Thea and I, okay, will assist you. Don't just sit there confused. If you have a question, please feel free to raise your hand. Sound good? All right, go ahead and work on it. You already forgot how to write one. Oh, you want me to go up to the 3rd period? Okay, yeah. Sure, I guess leaving the blank box wouldn't really help. I will leave this paragraph up here for a little bit, and then I'll switch it to another one. Some people might be on this part, okay? Let me know. All right.